The night the Savanna held its breath, in the heart of Africa, where the land breathes with both beauty and danger, there are moments that rewrite the rules of nature. What you are about to witness is one such moment and encounter so unlikely, so powerful, that it challenges everything we thought we knew about the wild. The Savanna lives by one law: the strong survive. But on a moonlit night, when the stars burned like 1,000 watchful eyes, a predator known for his ferocity would find himself on the edge of death. And just when the end seemed certain, an act of unexpected mercy would turn the Savanna into a stage for one of the most astonishing stories ever told. It began under the vast African sky, where silence rules before the dawn. Antelope moved cautiously through the tall grass. A hyena's laugh echoed in the distance. And then, breaking the night like a crack of thunder, came the growl of Kovu, a lion feared across the land. Kovu was no ordinary hunter. At 7 years old, he had already survived countless battles, carrying scars like badges of honor. His mane, dark and full, glistened in the moonlight as he patrolled his territory. Each step radiated power, each breath announced his dominance. But even kings are not untouchable. Drawn by the scent of water, Kovu approached a shallow riverbank. The air was heavy, carrying the smell of both life and danger. From the shadows came a sound unnatural, foreign, a rustle that spoke not of prey, but of man. Before Kovu could react, the ground beneath him gave way. In an instant, the lion fell into a pit deep, narrow, lined with sharpened stakes. A trap, the cruel design of poachers who sought not to respect the king, but to break him. His roar tore through the darkness, shaking the night, sending flocks of birds into the sky. But the pit was merciless. His paw was pierced, his body bruised, his strength draining. Kovu struggled, thrashing, but every movement only deepened his wounds. The predator who once ruled the plains now lay in agony, his power reduced to desperate cries. The Savanna seemed to hold its breath. Miles away, another figure stirred. Not a lion, not a hyena, but an ancient creature, a giant whose wisdom carried through generations. The matriarch of an elephant herd, known to the locals as Nia. Her tusks were long and curved like ivory crescents, her eyes deep and knowing. She was the silent guardian of these plains, feared and revered alike. The echo of Kovu's pain reached her ears. Elephants rarely stray toward lions, especially not in the dead of night. But Nia turned her massive body toward the sound, as though drawn by an invisible call. Her herd hesitated, but she pressed forward alone, her shadow stretching endlessly in the moonlight. When she arrived, the sight was staggering. The king of predators, broken and trapped. Kovu snarled in pain, his golden eyes blazing with both fear and fury. Instinct should have told Nia to leave or worse, to finish him. But instead, something remarkable happened. The matriarch lowered her head. With a rumble deep in her chest, she approached the pit. Kovu roared weakly, swiping with a paw, but his strength was fading fast. Nia's trunk stretched down, testing the edges of the pit, brushing against the cruel wooden stakes. She studied, she waited, she decided. Then, with a power only an elephant possesses, she began to act. Wrapping her trunk around a log, she struck at the stakes, breaking them one by one. The pit trembled with each blow. Dirt fell in cascades, loosening the walls. Kovu watched in silence now, too weak to resist, his breaths ragged. Minutes turned to hours. The moon gave way to the first colors of dawn. At last, with a final push, Nia collapsed one side of the pit. The earth split, creating a ramp of soil. Kovu, trembling, dragged himself upward, his mane caked with blood and dust. Step by painful step, he climbed until he emerged broken, but alive. The lion stood before the elephant. His body screamed of weakness, but his eyes locked onto hers. For a heartbeat, predator and giant faced one another in silence. No growl, no trumpet, just recognition, but the danger was far from over. The scent of blood had traveled far. From the horizon, shadows appeared, hyenas, drawn to the weakness of their greatest enemy. Their cackles grew louder, circling closer. Kovu staggered, his paw nearly useless. Alone, he could not survive. Nia raised her massive head, her ears flaring wide. She let out a thunderous trumpet that rolled like a storm across the savanna. Dust rose as she charged forward, scattering the hyenas into the distance. The scavengers fled, unwilling to challenge the wrath of the giant. And so it was that night turned into day with the lion sheltered not by his pride, but by an elephant who owed him nothing. In the days that followed, Kovu remained weak. Nia did not abandon him. She lingered nearby, driving away scavengers, guarding him as though he were one of her own calves. Marcus, a conservationist tracking the elephant herd, witnessed the impossible with his own eyes. He wrote later, "I thought I knew the savanna. I thought I understood the rules. But what I saw was something greater than instinct. It was mercy." When Kovu finally found the strength to rise, he stood tall again, though scarred forever. He looked at Nia, his protector, and let out a low rumble less a roar, more a whisper of respect. The elephant rumbled back, a farewell written not in words, but in the language of the wild. Then, with one last glance, Kovu limped back toward his pride. The lions roared in the distance, their voices calling him home. Nia turned and rejoined her herd, disappearing into the golden light of morning. What remained was not just survival, but a legend, a story passed down by those who witnessed it, a reminder that compassion knows no species, no boundaries. On that night, under the African sky, the king of predators and the guardian giant rewrote the laws of the wild. And the savanna itself seemed to whisper, even in a world ruled by survival, there is room for mercy. What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more incredible encounters from the wild, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.